Well, I want to thank our panelists for coming and for preparing. They had a little homework on the way and things to think about. And I'd like to start by sort of emphasizing that we're coming in here with real experiences. And we want this, this entire Congress to be a snapshot of what's really happening in the world of zero-touch automation. There's been a lot of speculation about what it means or what it could mean or what it will be in some time, but I want to ground it as much as we can in reality of what we are learning as we go about this process of achieving zero-touch automation. So I've asked the panelists to keep that in mind. And so I want to just start by allowing the panelists, all of whom I know and have worked with and really enjoy working with for quite some time, to introduce themselves, say what they do briefly at their companies, and also to say how long they've been coming to Layer 123 events, because I've been coming since Layer 123 was formed. The first event that we co-hosted when I was at ONF with Layer 123 was in March of 2012, just 1 year from the launch of ONF. That was the Cloud Net Summit in London. And then 7 months later was the first SDN and OpenFlow World Congress in Germany, and it stayed in Germany until it moved to The Hague. It's now the SDN NFV World Congress. It's really the flagship event for a really open mind, open market, bias-free, non-religious format for exploring the issues of open networking. So let me turn to my friend here, Shahar on the right, to say a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how long you've been participating in Layer 123 events.
All right, so the business card title says AVP New Technology, but the internal title, PSDI Global, is Business Owner Horizon 3. Now, business owner, those who are familiar with agile development, probably know what business owner is, but what is Horizon 3? So Horizon 1 is our current services, the services which we offer today. Horizon 2 is what we build today, which means tomorrow's services, and Horizon 3 is where we want to be a few years ahead. So that probably leads me to pretty much have a very similar role as Joanne's title, Evangelist for 2020, or I don't know, maybe Michael already mentioned 2025 this morning. As far as Layer 1 to 3, I think I did participate in 1 or 2 of the events in Düsseldorf, and then it moved to The Hague, even though I did miss that event last year, and you know, plenty of others, yes.
Thank you, Shahar. Joanne.
I'm a global evangelist, which probably you may not typically know what that would mean, but other than, you know, Jesus Christ or something. But I'm really praise the Lord.
I said we have no religion in this country.
Yeah, no religion. No, actually, what I'm trying to do is to represent Telstra, Telstra's voice, being Telstra's voice as part of Standards Group, and at conferences such as this one. It's very hard, and it costs a lot of money to travel all the time from Australia. And the timing for participating in standards and so on is very difficult. It typically starts at 1 a.m., right? And they expect you to come in the office the next day. It's a little bit hard when you've been up until 4 a.m. So actually, although I work for Telstra in Australia, I actually live in Canada so that I can perform that role. So I participate and contribute to different standards. And I also, what I do is I bring that information back to Australia. So in the last month that I was in Australia, I actually participated in Cisco Live Australia, which was the APAC Summit. And there I presented what Telstra is doing with Network as a Service. Then we hosted ETSI ZSM quarterly meeting. And as part of that, I created an open house session so that anyone in the industry could come in and ask questions, because we had the chairs of ETSI ZSM as well as the chair of ETSI NFV. And so that allowed for, I think we had about 40 different companies that sent participation. And then last week, I hosted 2 joint workshops with TM Forum on OSS and networks for the future. And at that session, I also had the CTO of the MEF who came over. And through the fact that he was in Australia, I also organized for him to meet with different people within Telstra, as well as facilitated meetings with other companies within Australia. So my role is both, to contribute what Telstra has to offer, but also bring back towards Australia, because it's a very isolated country. It's a big country, but it's quite isolated because of time zone differences. And my participation in Layer 3, I attended last year, San Jose, and I believe I might have been at other ones, but they get a bit flurry every time you go. You're not sure if it's alarm 1 through 3 or it connects or this or that, and so I have been to several events.
I once wore all the badges I got, my attendee badges from Layer 1 to 3 events, all at the same time. It was the one in San Jose, so I was close to home and I could take everything back. My front was full. It was like a general with medals or something like that, but I didn't get any particular credit. Thank you. Dangui.
So can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So I do not have so many badges as you can have. So anyway, so my name is Deng Hui. I joined Huawei 2 years ago. So before I joined Huawei, I worked for China Mobile for 10 years. So in the Huawei, I'm working on the ANFI topic, like 5G core and also mobile edge computing, those related topics. And also I'm working for the coordinating like ANFI standard for Huawei and also for mobile edge for the 5G core, these standards, so my major job. And also, I'm working on the open source. I'm currently the co-chair of the modeling subcommittee in the ONAP. And also, I'm currently the current standard coordinator for the ONAP as well. So next Monday, we are hosting the ONAP-related standard workshop. So we invited many standards, for example, TM Forum, MEF, or even LCMV 3GPP-SA5. So all of them come to the San Jose next Monday. So it's free to attend. If you have time, you can go there. So that's all my job. I think I do not have so many badges, but I joined the Layer 1 to 3 since I joined Huawei. So that started from The Hague.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the title of this panel is The Business Case for Zero-Touch Automation. And as Mark Cohn pointed out in his opening remarks, what we're exploring here at this Congress is both the technology and the business and their important interaction. So in MEF, we're very focused on bringing the new technologies to the operator community, including its suppliers, in a way that allows them to have successful business starting now and getting there in a business successful path toward the goal that we all have shared of digital transformation of the operators and their enterprise customers and the organizations that we ourselves represent. So with that in mind, I would like to ask the panelists the first really big question, which is, in your company's experience, and I know you represent an operator, and Joanne, you represent an operator, and Dangui, you represent a vendor that serves many operators, but you've also had direct operator experience. And I'm going to start with you for that reason. How do you evaluate the business case for zero-touch automation internal to the operator? And how does that differ from the business case for the operator's enterprise customer?
All right, so I think the ANFI has happened, for example, like more than 6 years. And most operators has already achieved, part of the early beginning, the goal of the ANFI. That means you have already decoupled the software and hardware in the most operators. So today, most operators are looking at the future. That is automation. So for that directions, we can see what will be the internal operators use cases. We can see, I think the previous presenter, also from Huawei, he mentioned about one of the exact use case I can repeat. So he achieved like 30 hours. Once you have power on, you make first call within 30 hours, right? And also I remember he mentioned about and he can achieve like within 30 minutes, you can achieve the bordering of the fault, right? That's a very important feature when the operator facing the failures. So those of data is really the real use cases we can achieve, like self-planning, self-healing, and self-demarcation. So those use cases really are the real use case for the operators. So what is your next questions about the?
So what's the business case for zero-touch automation for the enterprise customer?
Yeah, okay.
You know, instituted by the operator. How much of the ZTA efforts by the operator benefit the enterprise customer versus just the operator?
Right, so I think this is a very, very good question here, because most operator, back to my 10 years ago, we were thinking the virtualization. So that has been achieved, right? So then the next step we are learning from the IT is from the automation. I still clearly remember one time I visited one of the OTT in China, that's a Tencent company. So China Mobile has talking with them. So they told me, we have only one engineer for one data center. So that's really surprised us, right? So then, because for our operator, we are like the team, like armies, like 100 people for one of the telecom cloud, but they have just one. So what is the difference? So the difference is they can do the automation. They have many software tools they can achieve the, from day 0, day 1, day 2, even disappearing, I mean, remove everything. They have many software tools. I think there's a difference between the enterprise automation with telecom automation. The number one is their software. So we are different. We are mixed the hardware and software. We have hybrid use cases. We have different access technology. We need to handle all of them. So the big difference enterprise is they are just tools, but we are like a complicated case. So for that reason, for our automation, we have to find out our own solution, not just simply using their tools to deploy a 5G call. That's impossible. So we have to think about our own solution. So that's what I see the difference between enterprise.
Thank you. So Joanne, you represent a major global operator that has customers in lots of places. What, in your experience, has been the business case for adopting it for your own internal benefit? And then again, what sort of benefits does that bring to your enterprise customers?
Telstra has announced this Telstra 2022 strategy. And as part of that strategy, we have to benefit both our customers as well as our shareholders. So doing the transformation internally, which I will talk about in the session just before lunch, where we've changed our architecture internally, is really the first key step leading towards automation. And while we're doing it internally, the benefits, which I will mention, but the benefits, we believe that we can achieve we can cut 2/3 of our timing to deliver products to our customers. So today, it takes us between 18 to 24 months to deliver a product. We believe that we would be able, by doing a NAS architecture, network as a service architecture, where we are exposing our services of reusable pieces of services, that we will be able to achieve a 4 to 6 months now time to deliver any new products and services. So this is a key major step, I believe, that we will be able to, for our customers to be able to benefit. But not only that, the fact that this architecture is also leveraging standards interfaces, we should be able to get our customer to come in and benefits from all of these services directly at some point, right? So we are building an AWS catalog, if you want. So it's an operator. We're building all of our atomic catalog that are going to be exposed. Today, they're being consumed by one domain to another domain, or from our IT system where all the orders come in. But later on, we might be able to get the customer's IT systems to come in and consume our services directly, just like an AWS, okay? And that's going to be a big benefit. Now, with that architecture in mind, we've started talking to our customers, and they actually thought, wow, this is a great architecture. Why can't we also have an architecture such as this. So one use case you were asking, from the enterprise point of view, they basically said that they wanted to do a small implementation of AlgoSec. I don't know if you know, but it's a firewall rules system. Today it takes 6 weeks to burn a new firewall access. And AlgoSec has all of the tools that looks at all the risk and assess, if you're opening this door here, then will it impact anything else and so on. And they have this tool. But because every department wanted to access it in different ways with their own APIs for their own tool, then it burned the business case. Business case wasn't justifiable anymore. And so by using standard interfaces and saying, no, everybody uses those, then you can build something that will be more business case-wise, will fit your business case.
And how do you see the industry congealing around defining these common interfaces?
Well, that's why I participate to a lot of different standards, trying to herd the cats and moving things and evangelizing what it means and why we need to move in that direction. Because it's one thing to say, oh, I have Huawei that do great system integration work and adapt to everything, but I always ask to have Huawei and a new supplier, then you'll have to do the system integration, and another supplier, changes here. And do you know that in the project, when we buy a kit from anybody, 80% of the cost goes to system integration, where 20% is buying the feature, right? Don't we want to change that, where we would want to pay 80% for all the new features that you give us and have maybe a 20% cost for adapting and trying to get that into our network.
So Jean has been a very effective change agent in herding these cats, and we were discussing actually yesterday about the MEF APIs and the TM Forum APIs. And one of the 4 pillars of the MEF 3.0 is community. I mean, the others are services and LSO APIs and certifications, but community says, let's all get out of our silo and we have to work together and collaborate to come to some agreement on this. And it's happening very deeply in information modeling. We've been in meetings about that with ONAP and ONF and TM Forum and ETSI and IETF. And with these APIs, it used to be that a vendor would say, I'm open, here's my API, but they control it, and it's not universal. And we're trying to do this universally to meet this need that you expressed. So she's very effective at motivating that kind of behavior. All right, so Shahar, PCCW Global, it's headquartered in Hong Kong, but its business is much more expansive than Hong Kong, of course. So what is your experience, both internally and for your enterprise customers?
First, let me bring my experience with cats, with herding cats. My stepmom grows lots of cats, and she herds them very easily. It's very easy to herd cats with food. With food. And the title of this session is the business case for ZTE, right?
Yep.
Food is the business case, right? So if there is commercial incentive, the industry will follow. If we just try to develop the technology, everyone develops their own technology in their own silo, and then goes and enjoys the sun, and goes, whatever noise the cats do. So at least at Global, let me take a slightly more abstract perspective, because at the risk of repeating stuff that's already been said. There is an internal-facing automation and external-facing automation. So internal is automating our own systems, installing virtual devices that can be fired up within instances, and everything has already been said. There's no reason to repeat that. On the external facing, there are 2 elements. The first element is the enterprise element, or the customer element. That is automating the way the customer requests a service or subscribes to the service through a portal, through an API, through an intent engine. There are many solutions, and there are too many to count. But when we have developed our own silo, our own automated silo called Console Connect, for those who might not know, basically it automates delivery of services on our own network. but the probably more important part of that platform, except for the automation itself, is the portal for the customers to sign up. And customers sign up, they like the interface, it's friendly. When you first sign up, you have no commitment, you don't have to have any connection, you just get friendly, feel comfortable, sign up to the calendar, sign up to the social platform. And then once you want to get services done, you just hook up into the network and bang, everything works. So this is a very important thing. How do customers feel? How do customer interface? How do the enterprise customers interface with our platform through a very effective interface portal? The second element of external facing is how do we actually sign up to services that we cannot deliver ourselves? Today, it's limited to acquiring services from cloud providers. Other than AWS, Google, and I think whatever, Tencent and a few more. And we've established the interface, the automated interface through which we can now integrate their services into our services and package that and offer that to the customer. So again, there's the internal facing automation, external facing automation, both on the supply side and on the demand side.
So just following on to that, Shahar, if you look at the business cases that you have made, how much are they weighted toward saving money for you, or saving money for your customers, or making money?
Well, that's always a good one, and this is exactly the business case, right? So automation definitely saves money. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's very easy because you reduce timelines, you reduce headcount, you reduce plenty of the overheads. So the money saving is easy, but everyone can save money. What we're really looking for is actually making money, making more money. And that is by being able to use automation to offer new services that we are not able to offer through our current manual methods. Because today, when we need to deliver a service, it takes anything between days to weeks to even months to deliver, which also translates to long-term commitments from us to our vendors and from our customers to us. The enterprise customers and the individual customers now want services on demand for a short period of time, and they're willing to pay for it. So there is a revenue stream there that's unleashed, or can be unleashed only when we are able to deliver services at that speed, at that rate. And based on today's technology, we can do so on our own network, adding possibly a cloud service, the AWS and others. We're still lagging behind when it comes to managed connectivity across multiple domains, but I think that probably will be addressed in another question.
It will. So Joanne, you mentioned reducing the time to offering a service from many months to just a few months. So in your view, is that a savings of money or a way of creating new revenue by getting the service in sooner? What has your experience been with that balance between saving money and making money?
I think it's for both. The fact that our transformation to lead towards more automation, I can't really say zero touch because that implies that I have to lay off too many people. But to leading to automation, you have to break down the silos and the processes. Today, we have way too many silos, and the silos came in from new technology. Then you wanted to deliver something faster, so you put it, alone on its own, and then you put another technology on its own and another technology. But then it's your IT system that kept on growing and growing and growing. Or you have silos, and then the product catalog, when you're ordering, needs to be able to know that this pile or this pile and this pile. And it just grew too big. And now we're not flexible. We're tied from now on. So by breaking down these silos, by exposing things, by becoming more agile in creating things, then we are going to be simpler, we're going to be cost reduction internally, but also it will bring the benefits towards our customers of being faster And we hope that with the newer technologies, such as closed-loop automation and so on, we will also provide better customer experience. So we're really relying on automation to deliver not only cost savings, as Shahar has explained, but also better customer experience from newer technology. And that's definitely another big aspect of our business case.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So Donghui, you sell products to your customers, and you make a case for it's a great product, but here's what it will do for you. That's always the thing. It's not like, I just reduced the price of the product, but is the benefit, when you sell it to a customer, how much do you emphasize, we're going to save you money versus we're going to help you make new money?
Right, so, yeah, first of all, I totally agree to operators, right? So we are not only here to cost saving, but also think about the agility, time to market for the new services. For example, we have 5G slicing. That is very important for the vertical. We can provide automation to the vertical industry to using our automation, the slicing technology. Okay, back to your question to the vendors, right? So are we making money or so we do provide like a CI/CD pipeline. You see the previous speaker. So the CI/CD pipeline is kind of, so operator, you can customize or you can ask the vendors, would you like to provide this kind of service? The vendor can make money from providing this kind of services here, work pipelines, right? So CI/CD, we can do the A/B upgrade without any zero interruptions. That's a very the traffic for the operators to upgrade their software without any interruptions. So those kind of services can help. Speaking for the vendors, not for the operators. Yep. We are also not only help them to reduce the capex, but reduce the opex, but also to help them provide the automation services by providing our own service to the operator.
And sort of also following up from that. If you look at the technologies that you provide to do that, we've heard about a little bit already today and some yesterday. You are very active in ONAP, the Open Network Automation Platform. What do you see as sort of the key technologies that have to be supplied to enable ZTA? And as a corollary to that, what effect is this going to have on what has been monolithic OSS and BSS?
Okay, that's a challenging question.
I didn't let them know I was going to ask that.
All right. So so regarding the monolithic OSS, right? So it's really hard to change them. But the closed loop, I'm talking generally. I'm not really talking about ONAP because everybody, I think most vendors today we are doing the closed loop automation. And so how we can adding this kind of closed loop control automation into the to coordinate. Coexistence with the legacy OSS systems. We do see the changes. So first of all, when you do the MV deployments, right? So that's first of all, you have to tackle the new deployments, SDN, NFV, or you hybrid SDN and NFV together. And then you build the assurance, then you build analytics on top of the assurance, and you get everything closed. Then you have policy-driven. Then you have intent on top. Then you have policy-driven at the middle to trigger the actions to build the full circle of automations. So that circle will sometimes to go through the legacy OSS because they have the legacy resources pool in the OSS today. So the closed loop cannot achieve just by the new network functionality, for example, MV only. Because sometimes you need to trigger the legacy resources. So for closed loop actions, sometimes you go not only into the new orchestrator like OSM, like ONAP, or whatever, or you need to go to the OSM to deploy the new resources. So I see that is a technology is happening today. People are building the modeling for the closed loop. They're building the intent-driven, policy-based, to build the full automation solution today. It's coming today, and not. I think for last year it's not really hardly debated or discussed, but from this year I can predict this kind of intent-driven, policy-driven orchestration automation will become the real requirement from the operator.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So Shahar, PCCW Global recently, a couple of years ago, bought Console Connect, as you mentioned. So how essential is that as an ingredient toward achieving zero-touch automation? And what other technology components are essential for that?
Well, as I mentioned, that is basically an automated platform that allows services to be deployed between existing nodes. So obviously, it does not solve the truck roll issue of establishing a new node. Maybe 5G will, with the new features of radio. But it does allow us to automate our service instantiation between existing nodes on the network. The node can be an end user or an NI or a VM of some sort, or even services which are off-net to us, but those are at the time being limited to certain cloud operators. So in that respect, the platform delivers for that product, and we are migrating some of our existing connectivity services onto that platform, specifically for customers who need that type of services. Some customers are monolithic, just as the OSS system that supports them, and they still require those fixed lines. So this is basically an essential element, and this is our OSS of the future. But we still hope to get that OSS BSS. I must mention again, this is a business case, right? Not only the operating system. We need to integrate that into an overall business infrastructure that must include additional telcos or additional ICT players in general, not only telcos, because at the end of the day, we do want to deliver value. The technology is there, and Console Connect is the greatest of technology, but what really makes it different is that it has a commercial layer around it.
So thank you. So Johan, if you look at what it takes inside Telstra to bring about zero-touch automation, how much are you able to develop internally in the company? And what do you go outside for? What are the key things you have to acquire?
That was not even on our script.
I know.
Yeah, this is sneaky Dan.
But I will answer it.
Thank you.
So what our NAS architecture, which is talking about how our domains are now going to be exposing services, we're building a platform, a NAS platform, which is a gateway. It's an API gateway, really. We're imposing that all of our domains, whether the media domain, the transport domain, the radio core domain, or fixed access domain, whatever domain it is, speaks the same TM Forum API. So we've created what we call the NAS API component suite. And as part of that, which was in a slide from David yesterday, and TMF 909. So it has all of the basic APIs that we are looking for in terms of corresponding with the domains. And I have a slide on that later. But to do the integration, we needed an API gateway that was that also had the master service catalog that knew exactly where all of those services that are being exposed, where they reside. And that platform, yes, there are lots of different API gateways out there that you can buy. Another service provider may want to buy. We decided to build it ourselves for a few reasons. One of the reasons was the fact that a lot of the suppliers charge on a per transaction basis. And since this is the heart of our correspondence for management platform, right? Everything was traversing it. So whether it was one domain consuming another domain service, or whether it came from the IT system, from an ordering of things, everything ran through that from a management perspective, and we decided that we'd rather buy that or create that ourselves through open source, basically. So we use open source and we built that platform. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things about the OSS BSS, we are migrating ours, but we're making it simpler. So instead of adding more and more complexity so it knows how to manage everything, because we're relying on our domains to have more intelligence and only expose the service layer, that means that our IT systems do not need to know anything about resource level. And that's a main key thing. So our OSS and BSS platform become a lot simpler. And they have to interface through standard APIs as well.
It's sort of the intent-based approach or the declarative method telling the network what you want, but not how to do it, and let the infrastructure
intent
control.
based of what one of the speakers was talking about.
That's right. So you mentioned a word here that Shahar had referred to earlier, which was domain. So Shahar, what is different about achieving zero-touch automation across domains within an operator from different transports or whatever parts of the network, and also to across different operator domains?
So let's refer back to the slide that was presented earlier by IHS. That was a slide that said, you know, demonstrated the federated orchestration with the multiple network elements below and the various applications on top. And when it was presented, I said, well, that was actually stolen. I actually presented that slide, a very similar slide, at the MEF meeting in Hong Kong earlier this year. But there was one thing in that slide that was different than mine. And that was something that was centrally managed, which is not the case when you cross domains. As long as you're within one operator, everything can be centralized. You can have a centralized orchestrator, or orchestrator of orchestrator, and you can have one root that controls everything. The moment you cross an operator domain, there's no control and there's no hierarchy, whatever, no way you can put it. There's no similar hierarchy. Me as a carrier will not accept hierarchy from any other carrier, be that the big AT&T or the small or the small Timbuktu Telecom, because we're players on an equal level. So this goes about federation. Federation means we all apply to the same rules, but each one operates by itself autonomously, and we have ways to interface with each other through east-west interfaces. And that is basically the main difference between intra-operator and inter-operator orchestration. Within one operator, you can do whatever you want. You can use ONUP, you can use ONOS, you can use your own developed, you can use Console Connect, whatever you want. When it comes to cross-domain, you need to cross the Rubicon and understand there's no more hierarchy, there's no more centralized controller. It has to be through some sort of inter-carrier agreement. Now, the way it works is, and let me just maybe take a step back. We as humans are very smart in developing technology, but we kind of fail in implementing it for the good of the masses, for the good of humanity. We can take nuclear energy as an example, right? We're very good at developing nuclear energy, but we end up throwing bombs on each other instead of creating clean energy. And the same goes with telecom. We're very good at developing solutions, but we end up deploying them in silos, and we just do not spend enough thought on how to get those silos to work with each other. So we keep thinking of hierarchical solutions. It's all about east-west. It's all about working with each other based on a common set of rules, common information models, which will yield common data models, which will then allow automation across domains.
So we have about a minute and a half left, and I want to refer back to a point that Cliff Grossner made, which is that there are cultural obstacles to the adoption of zero-touch automation. So just very quickly, I'm going to start with Donghui and just come back. How much is ZTA a technology issue, a business issue, or a culture issue?
All right. Yeah, I think it depends on the timing, right? So today, mostly, I think it's more like the marketing issue other than technology issues, because at the beginning, people has any idea what does automation means. The manufacturer, the mechanical manufacturer, they have the automation. The car manufacturer, they have the automation. I think the previous speaker talked about the 5 layers of the automation, which is similar to the autonomous driving. I mean, in the car manufacturers here, I jump out of one idea because the layer 1 to 3 is hosting here. As the previous speaker mentioned, he's in the layer 3, right? So our future targeting will be layer 4 and layer 5. So probably we can recommend them to change the naming from layer 1 to 3 to layer 1 to 5. I'm kidding here, right? So the coming back here, we can think about the marketing needs to go. I mean, the operators, you need to put the requirements right here to let everybody understand. I want automation, right? So that's then the technology that comes out. Then for example, slicing, like IoT, everything becomes potentially automatically possible. So the requirement first, then technology later. Then technology will jump out. They say, we can provide more capability of the automation. Then this kind of promotion, this kind of spinning one by one. So marketing technology, finally we achieve it by the AI or whatever in the end.
Great, thank you. So, sounds like an evangelist's role. So you tell me, Joanne, business, technology, culture.
In our case, at this point, it's not technology. It's actually more culture. Asking a hardware engineer who's always, went to the O2A team in order to activate and said, oh, you need to configure ABC, and these are the attributes, and here's the values and stuff, and then going to the other team of assurance and telling them, that's all you need to know. Here's the alarms to collect, or here's the KPIs, and then talking to another, and changing and saying, okay, guys, no, you don't talk to all these teams anymore. You're going to have to do this all in your domain, and you're going to do the full from cradle to grave, and then you're going to have to expose all of that, and then having to learn OSM with programming as well. They're not software engineers, these guys, right? So it's a lot to ask, and people are reluctant to change. And also, the way the fundings are typically done is also an issue in terms of how you're going to change this. But overall, I mean, Telstra is moving forward. We definitely are changing the organization to move more towards our T22 strategy, which is going to help us in achieving that automation that we're really looking forward. But it's cultural, it's the hardest.
Thank you. So, Shahar, you're an expert at working cross cultures. So what is your answer to this question?
Well, I think, technology, again, sorry to say that I don't care about technology. It will happen if there is a business need. If there's a business need, it will happen. And in order to change the culture, we need to herd the cats with food. So if there is...
Shahar loves to eat.
Exactly.
In very expensive restaurant. Yeah.
Thank you. Don't tell my boss, right? Yeah. And my doctor, yeah. So if we want to drive to change the current siloed culture towards a more collaborative culture, we need to show the commercial incentives for that. We need to show that there is a business case behind it, and if we do, the cats will all run to eat. We'll follow you like sheep.
Just one comment. I mean, a lot of suppliers in the room think that if I make my resources, I hide my resource from the IT systems and so on, and I make it easier to switch suppliers, then that's bad for them, and they're going to resist, and they won't put the APIs on that. But they have to also look at the other way of, we're going to get 80% more from your features when we buy your kit, and you can displace somebody else's. So it works two ways.
Yes, not just one place, right?
All right, I will let Mark decide whether there's time for any questions or not, but please join me in thanking the panelists.